back to my channel. My name is Riley and I'm your friendly neighborhood tattoo artist, and today I will be talking about the most commonly asked questions for tattoos. Some of these questions were actually submitted by some of my lovely friends over on Instagram. My Instagram, if you want to follow, is MysteryXInc. So let's get started. The number one most asked question is that white ink hurts more. White ink does not hurt more. It typically is the last thing that you use, so it's gonna hurt more than any other part of the process. Like, imagine your skin is already open, irritated, red, you've done all the line work, you've done all the shading, you've done all the color, and now I'm gonna go in there, dig into your skin a little bit more where it's already raw and angry, and I'm gonna put that white in. It's gonna hurt. But ultimately, you know, it doesn't hurt more than any other pigment. No pigment hurts more than other pigments. And this goes on to my next question, that color tattoos hurt more. Red ink doesn't hurt more, yellow, green, blue. They're all just different pigments. The color of the ink does not affect the way that it feels going into your skin. What does affect it though is the needle size. So sometimes whenever it comes to packing in a lot of color, it does hurt more than, let's say, lining. Because lining in black or lining in a color will feel a certain way, and then coloring in, which is, you know, a little more aggressive, is gonna hurt obviously more. Another really commonly asked question is, do tattoos hurt? Yeah, they hurt. I get asked this all the time. Even when I'm just walking in the grocery store, people will stop me and say, oh, did those hurt? Yes, they hurt, but it's not that bad. A lot of people think it's gonna be this searing, really bad pain, and it might be for some people, but for the most part, it just feels like a cat scratch or a paper cut. It's not that painful. It's not that painful. Now, obviously that differs from person to person and artist to artist. I personally like to say that I'm pretty light-handed, which means that I don't go in super aggressively to the skin. I try to be very gentle, and I try not to hurt my clients to the best of my ability, even though it can definitely hurt people. The hand is gonna hurt more than the forearm, you know? And then, of course, I say the ditches are witches. But personally, my highest pain level was on the ribs. I honestly hated the ribs, also the feet, pretty painful, but the ribs were by far the most painful place on my body. Continuing on about white ink, a lot of people think that white ink disappears. Now, this all has to do with the way that you take care of tattoos. So if you're in the sun a lot, if you're not taking care of your tattoos, that white can disappear. But, you know, I have some white on me that's been there for years on years on years, and it's still there. Now, the thing about white ink is it doesn't stay white for everybody. It really just settles into your skin just like any tattoo. So black ink may look different on different skin tones, red ink, blue ink, white ink is the same. So for me, white ink looks pretty white, but on some people, it just fades into their skin tone and just makes it like a few shades lighter than their actual skin tone. And you'll actually see where people have tattooed over older tattoos with white ink, and it looks great. And that's because it's changing the pigment that's already there. Another thing about fading is color tattoos. Color tattoos don't necessarily fade faster than straight up black and gray tattoos. Now, this again has to do with how you take care of your tattoo. Aftercare is extremely important. Using SPF, you know, really taking care of your tattoos whenever it comes to sunlight and UV rays. With any sort of thing, your skin changes as well. So as you get older, as you're out in the sun more, you can notice some fading, but for the most part, your tattoo shouldn't fade significantly. But obviously things do happen, and that's why touch-up sessions are really important, and I personally offer free touch-up sessions for the tattoos that I do. Another question that I was asked was, should I drink alcohol before a tattoo to reduce pain? No, tattooing and alcohol do not mix. First of all, alcohol is a blood thinner, so it's going to make your blood thinner and make it go everywhere. Also, it does heighten your pain sensitivity, or at least for the most part it does. And a lot of people that I have personally tattooed while they were intoxicated, they did not sit well. So it's not a fun time for the tattoo artist, and it's not a fun time for the client either. So I wouldn't recommend drinking before a tattoo. Same thing with partaking in some gardening activities. I wouldn't recommend that either. I think that it does also heighten your pain sensitivity, and it can cause you to not sit well as well. One thing before getting tattooed I do recommend is moisturizing your skin where you're going to get tattooed. First of all, your skin is going to love that moisture. It's already good for you to moisturize, but on top of that, that ink is just going to soak in so well. So I've seen a lot of tattoo artists, they actually recommend that you wrap your arm with lotion in saran wrap so that it actually really soaks in there before a tattoo. You're not required to do this. This isn't something that every artist recommends, but it is something that is positive and does affect the tattoo positively. Another big assumption is that tattoos are for criminals. A lot of people assume this. A lot of older generations assume that tattoos are for criminals, or that tattoos indicate that you've been to jail, which can be true. Tattoos have a long history within the jail system, especially within America and abroad. Like in Japan, the Yakuza are very popular, and obviously they are identified by their tattoos. Just like in America, we have gangs that are associated with tattoos. Now, personally, I know a lot of tattoo artists in the industry that are not criminals. I personally am not. I'm a good person. I'm a nice person. I've never done anything wrong. But, you know, we do have that stereotype. A lot of my tattoo clients are also not criminals. I have the sweetest clients. I don't think I've ever tattooed a criminal. But, you know, it is a very common stereotype, and I think a lot of people are now getting away from that and not thinking that as much, but it is still something where people with tattoos experience a lot of prejudice because people assume that we're dangerous. Are tattoos permanent? They kind of are. So, hear me out. Some tattoos are permanent, they last forever, but now we have the technology to fully remove tattoos. And then on the other hand, we now have temporary tattoos, which I don't necessarily believe if they're really temporary. But for the most part, the tattoos that I do, they do last forever. Now, I have seen tattoos completely fade to the point where you can't see them anymore, but typically that's older tattoo ink that isn't really around anymore. And then we also have tattoo artists that may not necessarily put tattoos in to the depth that they need to be in the skin, so they end up falling out. Another question that I get asked a lot is, why did you start tattooing? And this is a really important question to me. So, first of all, I've always been an artist. My mom always likes to say that whenever I first, could pick something up, I was picking up a pencil or a crayon or whatever it was and doodling. And that art was just in my veins. And I believe that that's true. I love to create and I love to connect with people, and I use art to connect with other people. And the most important thing to me whenever I was discovering who I was, who I wanted to be, what I wanted to be was that I really wanted that to be part of my everyday life. And so I get to do that. I get to connect with people, I get to make people happy, I get to uplift people, and that is the most important thing to me. Being able to create artwork that makes someone feel good, appreciated, happy, can help with grief, can help with pain. I can do that for somebody. Some people even call it ink therapy, and there's a really good reason for that. To a lot of people, it is therapeutic because you're getting to release emotions, you get something really cool that you get to keep on your body. It helps with body dysmorphia. Like personally, my tattoos really help me feel good about myself, and I love doing that for other people too. A really big question that has been going around in the industry right now is, are tips mandatory? No, they're not mandatory. A lot of artists set their own prices, but you know, in certain shops do take a certain percentage of what tattoo artists make. So tips are nice. Just like if you go into any sort of restaurant, right? They do make a living, right? As waitresses and waiters, but at a certain point, you know, tips are really nice. Especially in American culture, we do have tip culture. So it is nice to receive a tip. As far as what makes a good tip, for me, you know, if you throw me an extra $20, I'm happy, no matter what the tattoo is, right? But, you know, if you want to bring me a soda, right? If you know what my favorite candy bar is, if you know that I like Monsters, whatever, if you bring me something like that, absolutely, you're my favorite client. Even Scooby-Doo stuff. If you bring me Scooby-Doo stuff, I will hug your neck and I will be so appreciative for you. And that's all the questions that I had for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have any questions that I didn't go over in this video, feel free to drop them down below. Hope you have a great day. Bye. Okay.